Alright, testing. Welcome everybody. Thank you for your time tonight. Very exciting. This is our GMT Mastermind group. So let's do a quick sound check into the room. So testing 1 2 1 2, testing 1 2. So we're probably going to get a situation where we may be running two of these groups because of just our US traders. It's a little bit early for them, and we've got a UK traders who want to join us as well. So there may be two groups. Well, there will definitely be two sessions running on a Wednesday, so it'll be pretty busy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to collate the information on MindJet, and what I want to do is just take you through just a very quick. I did an intro on this last week for one of the groups, so I just wanted to walk you through the process quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the development part of the mastery group, but I'm going to then get into the process for us moving forward, which is what we want to, our goals and what we want to achieve. So the group really will be, as I've mentioned in the email, a group that works collaboratively together to basically come up with the best outcome and performance for each of the strategies we're trading. So before we get started, I'm going to take you through the strategies as we have them now. I'm going to take you through, just quickly describe them, and we're also going to look at basically what we're potentially going to include on the strategy development side. But let's have a bit of a look at the process we've been through so far. So for those of you who haven't seen the intro to the GMT Mastermind group, I'm going to be uploading that to the V2 automated trading section on the blog. So exactly where your manual is, that information will be contained there. It'll also be included in here on the map here. So let's get underway. Before we start though, I'll just quickly make sure that the volume's good. Everyone's clear on the volume. No problems with cutting out or anything like that. I had a little problem earlier today, but that seems to be pretty good. Okay, great. Alright, so welcome everyone. Thank you for your time. We've got Michael with us, so I'm not too sure if Mike has got his headset handy, but I'm going to open up the mic access to Mike, and I might get him to, when he's ready, just do a little bit of a introduction. For those of you who haven't spoken to Michael before, he's in the room. I'll just get him to say a couple of quick words about what his role is in the process, what we're going to be looking to do, and how we're going to move this forward. So just type in a yes when you're ready to go, Mike. I'll keep talking.
There are some requirements that Shane will probably go through before we would go ahead and code anything up. But yeah, just let the ideas flow basically.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. Great stuff. Yeah, I will go through the process of how we kind of get to the point where we start adding code and modify or improving the strategy. So I'll go through that process because I'm actually doing that now with the trend trader. So I'll show you what I'm thinking about as far as an improvement to the system we've already put together, and I'll show you the methodology I'm going to go through to validate that we want to do some more coding on it. So just before we get underway, as Mike has said, the idea behind the group is to share ideas, because what typically happens with any system or group that you're involved with is there's a bit of a flurry for the launch. You'll get some good settings. Those settings will work for maybe 3, 4, 5 months. Market conditions change. then suddenly you find that you've got a system that doesn't work, or a system that goes through a drawdown. You're not making money, you're not happy, and and then another market comes out that works for a little while. And what also happens there too is that by the time you've realised that your system or your strategy is not working in that market, it's usually after about a couple of months, and that's too long. And then you've got to go back, you've got to decide that, right, well, the system's not working at the moment on this market, I've got to look at another market. So which market do I jump onto? You go to the forum's old, or no one's putting their great settings on there, so you maybe type in something, nothing comes back, so then you decide you've got to do the testing. You do a couple of months of testing in a couple of days or a week. You find that you can't find the best settings, or you don't see anything great. So it gets very frustrating, very time consuming. You've wasted a lot of time and opportunity. So we don't want that ever to happen with us. We don't want the grass to grow under our feet. We want us to be very, very fluid with what we're doing. We want everybody to be sharing in the good stuff. So there's no point having a strategy that's making money and 4 or 5 people are doing well and the rest of your members are just frustrated. And that's one of the reasons why, apart from the fact that we need to set up the multi-system strategy based on what we know is true in relation to your best results, and your best performance will come from trading multiple strategies, not one strategy. So, and the only way really to physically do that is to have part of your process or part of your trading automated. So if you haven't had a chance to look at the GMT V2 launch video, spend a bit of time. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. You have to put up with listening to me again, but I go through in a bit of detail about the benefits of a multi-system strategy and how it works to reduce your drawdown. So I think I've got about 3 or 2 videos uploaded. I'm going to upload the rest after this session or after tonight's session. So that'll be up on YouTube, and we'll put that also in the members area for you, and I'll include it in here in Catalyst too. So let's just go through. So the goal is to really have this group working to come up with different strategies and different settings that are running well. So the way we're going to do that is, if you want to be part of this group, and I think that most people will agree that there's more value in being with the group than not in the group, because if you can get access to the best markets that are trading at the moment, and you've got a smorgasbord to look at. So remember that there isn't just the 2 or 3 markets that we typically spend most of our time looking at, because we would generally be watching or have traded probably about 3 or 4, maybe 5 markets. This is the list we've got at the moment, and I'll just bring this up in the room here. We've got the DAX, crude oil, heating oil afternoon session, Eurobond, soybeans, sugar, silver, gold, corn, coffee, the T-notes, the 30-year note, the natural gas, the S&P 500, the Russell, the Nasdaq, the Dow. It's probably about 15 to 20 markets we can track and watch. We've got the European indexes, the FTSE. So we have a multitude of markets we can test and track across these systems. So what I'm going to ask you to do tonight is, at the completion of this presentation and this group, now remember that we've already heard from Mike tonight, so what I want us to do is I want us to all mic up for next week, so no pun intended, but have your headsets ready. Come into the room about 5, maybe 10 minutes earlier. If we make the session next week starting 10 minutes earlier than we did today on the hour, and we'll all do a quick sound check. That way, if you want to say something in the room, or you want to chat in the room, you can quickly jump in, and I'll just give you the steps to make sure that you don't have your mic on the feedback loop, because we want to avoid getting feedback in the room, because the echo is that's a bit off-putting. So I'll just give you the tips on how to avoid that. But the goal is, hey Brian, how are you? The goal is with this group is to be working together to share information. We don't want to have one person, sitting there doing fantastic work and doing really well, and absolutely no one knows about how well they're doing or what settings they've got or how they've tweaked the system, because part of this process is tweaking the system as well, and that's why we've got Mike in. Some of the ideas for this have obviously Mike came up with the idea of the Mastermind group. We've thought about this before as well. Brian was one of the guys who has made some recommendations before about the strategies, and we haven't really put a lot of effort into really kind of pursuing that, but now we're going to embrace that wholeheartedly, and we think that there's huge benefit to having that as part of our process. So thanks to you, Brian, for your comments too. That they've been great in the past, and we hope you're going to share in the stuff going forward as well. So really, our goal here is to, as I said, get the most out of the system. So I'm going to give you a bit of a process in which we'll go through to put forward a case for different strategies being changed or tweaked or coded. But the first thing we want to do is I'm going to give you the list of markets that we're going to look at, and I've just dropped it in the room previously, but I'll do it again. Now, spend a little bit of time. I'm going to email this out, or this actually was on your email that came out for the invitation. So what I want you to do today at the end of the session, this is your homework, if you want to call it that, or your project work, is to pick a market that you think that you want to concentrate on, and I want you to nominate that market by emailing back to me with the market you want to nominate. And then I want you to pick the strategy that you want to use to track that market, because what we're going to do is our first task is to pick a strategy. So whether it's a trend trader or the breakout or the counter trend or the cycle, whatever strategy it is, pick one of them and pick a market, and I want you to come up with the best settings that you can find for that market. Now that's stage one of what we're going to do. So that's a very simple process, and I'll just show you how that might look. So for example, for me, what I've done is, and I'll move this over, I've grabbed, say, the trend trader on crude oil, and this is what I initially did. I looked at the Euro session because I knew there was movement in the Euro session, so I very quickly went into my, and for those of you who haven't done this, I went into my strategy. So the strategy option is the format strategy. I clicked on that, and I've got the trend trader, so I know what system I've got because it's marked. It'll say GMT V2 trend, breakout, it'll tell you what strategy it is. You format that, and then that there is basically, they're the settings you can play with. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to say, right, well, our first task is to pick a market. So if you want to change the market, you've got to go into your settings. So, but we'll just have a quick look at the strategy here for a second. So I've picked from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. and that's the market that's the time I've tested. You can test, anywhere in a 24-hour cycle. You can have 2 tests running, the first one and then the second. Here you can pick a slightly later time. Then this initial stop, that's your initial stop on the trade. So if you decide you want to start with an initial stop of 25 points, go with that, put that in there. If you want that to be tighter, you could even work that down, say, to an initial stop of 5. Because, history, or not history, but some traders and some experts believe, like if you read the book by John Sweeney, he talks about good trades, really, really good trades, the ones that go and travel, that do really well and produce a lot of profit and have good momentum, they don't retrace on you too much. So having a significant stop, is that really an advantage if you're looking to capture good trades? Well, the advantage is that you're going to have a tight stop. If you don't have a circuit breaker, then you're probably going to get knocked out of a few more trades, so you're going to have the cost of trading built into that. That's going to increase. The bigger you stop, the less trades you're going to get